Hello friends, Molly Ponfidith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of SOAR Community Nebula. The goal this year is for us to interview 1,000 champions of change, community builders, and community change agents. And this morning, I would like to introduce you to John Bendt. John, thank you so much for being a part of this initiative.
Well, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So appreciate you. So we usually start the interview by asking you to introduce yourself and the work that you're currently doing in the world.
Okay. Well, I've been retired for several years, and my career was in sales and marketing management. I held various marketing management positions, including some senior level positions with consumer products companies. And some of the brands that these companies marketed were Northern Paper Products, Dixie Cups, One A Day Vitamins, Alka-Seltzer, and Swiss Miss Hot Cocoa Mix.
Wow.
And then in the latter years of my career, I established a management consulting practice. And I worked with small companies to help them develop strategic business planning and marketing capabilities.
And currently, what do you spend your time doing?
Well, when I retired, I acted on a long-term concern that I've had regarding our youth. And I've been concerned that schools are not doing a very good job of helping young people discover a career path. And there's really a lack of process in encouraging young high school and even middle school students to start exploring what it is they want to do when they get into their work life. And then additionally, I think it's important that young people understand more about the workplace. And they need to know how competition works in the workplace and how do you compete for a job. And importantly, there are workplace skills that can be learned starting actually in middle school and high school. Things like communication and problem solving and teamwork and leadership, those kinds of skills that are really important in the workplace. And recent studies show that new college graduates are quite deficient in those skill areas.
Very interesting.
That got me interested. And so what I have 4 children, and I used them as guinea pigs when they were growing up. And I wrote and published a book targeted to teens, which gives them a big picture of how to prepare and what to expect when they enter their work life. And I've been working as a champion to get schools to be more committed and serious about helping kids in this area of their development. So I've written articles for education journals and had them published. And then I volunteered to do career prep seminars. There's a wonderful K through 8th grade school in the inner city here in Minneapolis. It's a Catholic grade school. And I've worked with their middle school students for a number of years on a program that hopefully gets them up to speed in these areas. And then also I've volunteered to do 8-hour career prep seminars with an organization called the Flaherty Foundation, Flaherty Family Foundation. And they work with high school students and provide scholarships and additional support to help in their development. It's a wonderful organization.
Yes, well, I'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to the Flaherty Family Foundation, because that's how you and I met.
Yeah.
Also spending some time with their students on things like career decisions and career focus. So the next question that I have for you is, when in your life have you experienced leadership and mentorship and empathy and compassion that has either shifted you in a profound way or shifted the course of your life and help you lead your life the way that you do now? Can you share some examples?
Sure. This might surprise you a little bit with my answer, but this happened to me when I was a very young boy. I was 8 years old when I was diagnosed with a bone disease that affected my left hip. And at the time, the only treatment for that disease was not to bear any weight on that leg. And that went on for a period of 5 years. So the mentorship that I learned at a very young age came from my mother and father. And they profoundly affected the way I viewed adversity and how to overcome challenges. There was never any room for self-pity. And they taught me a very important lesson, which was focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Mm. So as a result, I learned how to use those crutches very well. I could run on those crutches. I could take 5-mile hikes with backpacks and do all kinds of things that they taught me how to handle an adversity. And it all had a great outcome. But that really affected me profoundly in the way I viewed life. And that, yes, everybody has obstacles. But a great lesson is when you wallow in self-pity, you're not going to go anywhere. And there's always somebody that's got a greater challenge than you.
It's a really beautiful and powerful story. Hats off to your parents, right? Because they had to have a mindset and an attitude for life that they can share with you. They had that within them to gift to you. And now I see how you're paying that forward with the work that you do. Beautifully shared. Thank you so much for that. So now we're going to come to the next question of community building, change agents, champions of change. You've heard those terms before, but when you think of the people in your life that embody what it means to be a community builder, what are some of the characteristics and attributes that you've seen consistently show up?
Well, I think you have to care about what it is that you're going to be involved with. And try to find or care about something that's going to make a difference. And so people that I've met that are engaged in trying to affect change have that quality about them. They care deeply about what it is. And their motivation to continue on with it comes from that. For me personally, it's seeing the light go on in the eyes of young people when they really discover that, wow, this world is full of opportunity, and all I need to do is make the right choices. And the formula to success is really you have to develop the skills. You have to have positive personal qualities like being responsible and dependable, and you have to be willing to put the effort in. And it's so much fun for me to see young people embrace that and to open the world of opportunity, especially for children that live in situations where opportunity is not necessarily obvious to them, but that they have the power within themselves to identify and capture those opportunities. So that's what gives me the energy to do it. And I think that's really the key thing. If you are going to get involved, have some energy and be motivated to do it. And people that I've met that are involved have that energy.
Right. And I think you said something that was very key. It's you have to find the thing or things that you truly care about. because that love for it, or that passion for it, that desire to move it forward, is the fuel that keeps you going when challenges come and you wake up and you're tired and exhausted, or you've retired and you just want to go and sail off in the ocean, but you're like, I can't. There's more work to do. That's fantastic. So I know that you have shared a little bit about this in the beginning of the interview, but can you go into more specific on the causes that matter to you? Perhaps if you want to share more about the Flaherty Family Foundation or other causes or movements that you are so connected to, are so deeply motivated to support.
Well, they all revolve around youth. And Flaherty Foundation is one of them, which I really can get excited about because they're touching so many lives. There's another organization in Chicago called Mercy Home for Boys and Girls, and they're a refuge for children that are maybe abused or maybe homeless or really are without a lot of hope in their life. And they bring these children into this home and give them a safe place, plus get them the education that they need, and they do some great work. I think charter schools are another area, especially in inner city, where there are some charter schools that are doing some outstanding work in bringing children up to the expectations that they need to meet to be productive in their work, in their life in general. So everything that kind of revolves around youth are the things that I really care about.
Great. Well, you have 4 children, and as they were growing up, I'm sure that life has not always been easy, right? Raising young souls in this very complex world. And even for yourself and for your loved one, for your spouse, when times have been difficult, is there a motto, a philosophy, a quote, a scripture that really resonates with your heart and gets you grounded and back to center so you can move forward?
Yeah, there's one that actually it goes back quite a ways. It's from Calvin Coolidge, and he was the 30th president of the United States, and at a time when there was a lot of corruption in government. And this quote stuck with me. He says, "Little progress can be made by merely repressing what is evil. Our great hope lies in developing what is good." Mm. And then a corollary to that was, duty is not collective, it's personal. And when things get tough, you kind of look at, well, okay, where's the way out, and how can I make something good out of this? That kind of goes back to my early childhood experience as well. So to me, that provides fuel for when things get tough. You look for where's the good that's going to come out of this.
I love doing this part of the interview because you ask this question and you get such profound answers. And the overarching theme of it all is that it's so simple. Like the philosophy, the ideas, the quote is so simple, and yet it's so complex to live out.
Yes, yeah.
You've got this moral compass that has a lot of gray zone, right?
Right.
And sometimes the needle and the compass isn't quite working and has to be recalibrated every second with every decision. And then you hear these quotes and you're like, well, duh, that's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
It's not good. And yet when we live our lives, it's like, wow, when you're so inundated with information, with the outside forces that are not always positive, with negative energy, it's very hard to live what that means to just stick with the good, stay optimistic. So it's interesting. But it is important to repeat these mantras or go back and say, you know what, it's not that difficult. quiet the noise and get back to center. So I just noticed that you saying those or sharing those quotes, it's like, of course that makes sense. But it's not so easy sometimes.
No, it isn't.
Last question that I have for you, John, is what does a better world look like through your eyes?
Well, I think it starts with the individual. And we have a great moral code that has been given to us. It's probably the greatest moral code ever written, and that's the 10 Commandments. And if each of us individually would be faithful to those commandments, our world would be a wonderful looking place. And then I think the other piece of that goes back to that quote from Coolidge, is that duty is not collective, it's personal. And today we don't talk much about duty. And when I was a young boy, and I was actually born on Pearl Harbor Day, there was a lot of talk about duty as I was growing up, because we were in a world conflict, obviously. But I think bringing back that notion of duty, and duty to making our world a better place, would go a long way. And we don't have to have grand programs. It all can start with each individual. And just think, if each individual did something really good, the billions of good that would be acts that would be done in the world would be overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for a wonderful interview. I love your insights. And you're right, if even 1 billion, because there are multiple billions of us walking this planet right now, but if 1,000 of us really woke up every morning and thinking that our call to duty is spreading goodness, is smiling at a stranger, is paying for someone's meal just because, it's just saying hello and looking at someone in the eye for more than just a second. I think you're right. I think the vibration, the empathy, the love, the compassion would really start to shift our communities. Thank you so much for your insight and for all the goodness that you're spreading. Really appreciate you, John.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely. Those that are watching us, I hope you got some inspirations from Mr. John Bendt this morning. I really appreciate all of the community builders and change agents out there who are really committed and understand that their duty is to leave this world better than when they found it. And I really would like for you to consider nominating yourself or someone in your community that's making a huge difference. We'd love to feature them and share their insights with the world. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for continuing to support us and follow our journey. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Take care for now.